Wait a minute. The Packers did something right on special teams? Rossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, a podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Maybe our special teams won't be garbage now, Grossi, and today we're going to be talking about the breaking news that the Green Bay Packers have hired Rich Bisaccia, a Yonkers native, by the way, as their new special teams coach, hopefully making the woes of the special teams a thing of the past. Oh, wait, they've been bad for a lot longer than just this past year? Uh-oh. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, over on the Patreon side of things, we have Christian Martinez, we have Johnny, we have Philip Gretz, we have Liz Pendergraft, we have CJ DiVincenzo, we got Spencer Abdo, we got Sean Sullivan, and we got Janine. Is he a dentist? A big shout out and thank you to you all. And over on the YouTube side of things, we got Brandon, we got Jonathan, we got Dan the NPC, we got Peyton, running back 406, we got Dave Moore, we got Nerds Play, we got Patrick Thacker, we have Spectre, we have Kayvon, and we have Nova Prime. A big shout out and thank you to you all. So over the weekend, there was some mumblings that Rich Bisaccia was a favorite of the Green Bay Packers to be hired as their special teams coordinator, and everyone in Green Bay Packers land was like, oh my goodness, and lost their minds like this was the coming of the Beatles to America. And there's good reason, because the Green Bay Packers fans were quite upset with the way that things went this season, considering how obvious it was that the special teams was likely to cause us problems in the playoffs. And look at that. They're one of the main reasons why we were bounced from the playoffs, whether it was the blocked punt, whether it was allowing Deebo Samuel to run back a return for about 45 yards, whether it was a blocked field goal, all of those things put together on a nice, wonderful present, which wound up just sinking the entire team. Now, Rich Bisaccia, why is he a fan favorite? Well, he obviously took over from special teams coordinator to head coach for the Raiders this year, and every story that's coming out of the Raiders organization was how much the players loved him. There were stories that Bisaccia was writing letters to every single player, which is just fracking awesome. Obviously, they didn't keep him as they decided to go with Josh McDaniels instead. Apparently, a bunch of the players were upset that you didn't have Rich Bisaccia as their head coach anymore, and so to bring him in, he has a ton of experience. He has 38 years of coaching experience in the NFL, 19 as a special teams coordinator. So the guy has a plethora of experience. He seems like a fantastic guy, and Packers fans are just hoping that he is the guy who's going to turn the ship around. And I think that Rich Bisaccia can definitely do it. LaFleur has stated that he wants to fix the special teams. He said at his end of the year press conference that he was going to look around the league and say, okay, how many of those teams are starting starters on special teams? Because maybe that's something that we should do. You know, he's going to look into every single thing to try and fix the special teams issue, considering how good the defense played and how good the offense had been up until, you know, the 49ers game. There was no reason that the special teams should have been that bad. Now, we did fire Mo Drayton, who was our former special teams coordinator, and a lot of fans were happy about that. But I want to not put any rain on any parades here, but there's going to need to be a dramatic shift that is going to have to extend past a difference in coaching personnel. Let's take a look here. Since 2014, there have been 3 times that the Green Bay Packers have ranked dead last in the NFL when it comes to special teams. 2014, they were 32nd. 2015, they were 17th. Ooh, look, progress. 2016, 29th. 2017, they were ranked 16th. And then from 2018 on, it was bad. 2018, 32nd. 2019, 26th. 2020, 29th. And this year, 32nd. The Green Bay Packers have not had a good special teams unit for quite some time. So much so, they have not had a top 10 unit since 2007. And if you ask Packers fans, you know every single time that ball is kicked in the air, whether it's a punt or a kick return, there is a level of anxiety that emerges from deep within going, oh God, are they going to muff or screw this up? And there's a lot of reasons as to why. The easiest and most glaring reason is the fact that it just hasn't been a priority for the Green Bay Packers. Look how much happier Packers fans were last year when we brought in Tyler Ervin. We went from having negative return yards to we were getting like 3 or 4, and we were like, oh my God, Tyler Ervin is amazing. The bar is so low for the special teams now that if you have a guy just not fumble the ball or return it 5 yards, that's an automatic win, which is sad. And the Packers are not just this way about special teams. The Packers hit on Devondre Campbell this year, but look how many years they left inside linebacker as like, okay, we'll see what happens. We'll move Clay Matthews to the inside. That should be fine. The Packers have a tendency to ignore certain positions, and they have ignored special teams for a very long time. And you look at 2014, they're dead last there, and they have the team that could go to the Super Bowl. But what happens besides a complete collapse by the offense and defense? You have a fake field goal that allows the Seahawks to get a touchdown. It happens time and time again, and this year is just the most glaring that it legitimately ruined the Packers' chances at going to the Super Bowl. And the Packers really didn't do much to change it this year, even though the results were blatantly obvious that this wasn't going to end well. Amari Rodgers had muffed returns. And yes, later in the season, he got a little bit better, but by a little bit better, we were talking about maybe he was able to return for like 5 yards or, not being able to fumble the ball. Again, the bar is so low. And just to be clear, it's not just about returns here as well. It's talking about field position. It's talking about how we had J.K. Scott, got rid of him and got Corey Bojorquez, who was definitely an upgrade. But you also look at where the starting field position is for the Green Bay Packers, which is horrendous. You look at the blocked field goals that happened in the divisional game. It happened against Pittsburgh, even though he was offsides, but he wasn't really offsides, and how many times it was this close from being blocked. The Packers have issues all around on special team, and it's going to need a complete culture and team perspective shift for that to change. And I'll give you an example. So, Brandon Powell, who was a returner for the LA Rams. This guy was just sitting there on the streets. He was cut by the Dolphins as he was on their practice squad on October 12th. The Rams come up in early November and scoop him up. Since then, in kick returns, he's averaged over 23 yards a return, and for punt returns, he's averaged over 21 yards per return and also has a touchdown. Do you know what Brandon Powell's one job is on the Rams? It's not to be a receiver. It's not to be a cornerback. It's none of that. It's to return the damn football. That's it. He's not seeing the playing time on offense. He's not seeing playing time on defense. He's not seeing anything except you catch the ball and you run. That's all you do. And I'm sorry, but that's what the Packers need to do. Amari Rodgers, who's trying to get acclimated to a position, which is very difficult coming out of college as a wide receiver. He's trying to get acclimated. On top of that, Randall Cobb is stealing some of your playing time, and he's being put back there on special teams going, oh yeah, do this, and also memorize the playbook and do all of this. It doesn't work for every single player. It worked with Randall Cobb early on in the day, but here it obviously was not effective. And instead of just spending a little bit of money, and I mean a little bit of money, and bringing in a role guy, a designated player who is, hey, your job is to return the football on kicks and punts, or let's go and get gunners. Let's get guys who are super duper fast, who can tackle, and they never see the field except for on special teams. And you might think that sounds crazy, but there are plenty of teams that do that. And guess what? They're not finishing dead last in the NFL. And it's frustrating because this is like little patchwork. And we have guys who are on the roster who don't see a lot of playing time, but they're not really helping the team. This is 2 to 3 roster spots that would go a long way into solving your special teams woe, and all of a sudden not make it a glaring weakness that's going to cost you games, but at minimum is going to be average, and at most, maybe it's actually going to help us win some football games. So Bisaccia is definitely going to have his hands full. LaFleur seems very dedicated to fixing this problem. My one fear is that you got a great coach who really could turn things around, but it is going to come down to what does he have to work with, and that is going to be up to the Green Bay Packers front office to make sure that Bisaccia has the tools to succeed and improve these numbers so that special teams doesn't cost this team more games in the playoffs. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you feel about Bisaccia signing? I am very excited for it. I just hope that there is a complete shift so that we don't have to worry about special teams and it actually becomes a strength on this team. But let me know. You guys tell me at TomGrassiComedy.com or TomGrassiComedy at all social media. See down below. Check out Patcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over patreon.com/TomGrassiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grassi. And as always, go Pack Go.